Okay, in the spirit of continuing to do this series a little bit differently, I want to spend a little bit more time in the beginning of the video talking about the products we're about to use in the polishing section. If you haven't seen the decontamination video, make sure to go back to that. But I want to kind of run you through some of these things. Unfortunately, I wanted to grab some pretty looking stuff off the shelf, new in a box, but I had to go grab my stinky old ones because you know, we're in the middle of a global pandemic and a lot of this stuff is really hard to get. And so make sure to keep an eye on the Obsessed Garage store for when these things come in stock. We actually have a little tab on the right. If you click email me when available, we generally have relatively regular shipments coming in, but recently it's been these things have been really hard to get. The supply chain has been damaged. So anyway, let's talk about the stuff we're about to use in this video series or in this video section. First thing we do is we tape the car off, and so we use these two different tapes depending on what your preference is. My preference is actually for the green stuff. This is 3M Precision, and then this is 3M Precision Poly. The Poly is quite a bit more contourable, it's more flexible. It comes in a roughly 3/4 inch size and then 2-inch size. We didn't use this on the car, but they also have a 1/4 inch for, you know, expansion joints on the roof and some other, you know, peaks if you didn't, like if you had an older car and you were so worried about paint thinness. Same thing here. We have a 1-inch, a 2-inch, and then 1/4 inch in the 3M Precision. I like having both in the cabinet. We use both on the car. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day. I find that this has a little less residue that can get picked up from the polisher, but this is quite a bit more contourable and flexible for around the windows and stuff like that. So we use that product. The polishes we ended up using were Jescar Correction Compound on yellow pad. We also ended up using Jescar Correction Compound on the yellow wool pad or medium wool RUPES pad, and then we finished with Sonax Perfect Finish on the same yellow pad, believe it or not. And we were testing out, you'll see in this video, we're testing out the new RUPES pads. They should be available in the next month or so, depending on when you're watching this video. We used, and I would suggest you have about a half a dozen, at least a half a dozen 5-inch pads and a half a dozen 3-inch pads. So that's, you know, what we used on the car, as well as a couple of 1-inchers. Same thing with the, you know, with the wool pad, use a couple of 1-inch. So you'll see us use wool on the stripes. Needed a little bit more attention, but the rest of the car was able to get real quick 2-step polishing done to it using just these two polishes, these two pads and yellow pad on the vast majority of the entire car. We're blowing out, I do not have this in the store, I need to get it, but this is a Tornador, which is a little, I don't know what you call it, but this thing blows air out in a erratic pattern or a random pattern. It helps blow out pads. We use this with my FIAC air compressor, which I now offer packages for. It'd probably be best to email support@obsessedgarage.com to help with design of an air compressor if you want that. I didn't use a pneumatic on this car, but generally I'll use the 5-inch pneumatic tool. Another staple is to have a couple of these, the RUPES claw tool. You'll see us use this for buttering, for agitating the pad. It's a freaking awesome product. I think you want a couple of these. They're like 18 bucks or something like that, so I think you want that. By the way, we only used a couple of the wool pads, but I think in my arsenal, I want to have white and yellow foam pads. I want to have microfiber pads. I want to have blue and yellow wool pads from RUPES. I think those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pads will get pretty much anything done you need done, and I think you want 6 to 8 of each of them. I think that's an appropriate amount to have. Then machines. We used RUPES LHR 15 Mark III, which is, what I think, about 450 bucks for this thing. This is the corded version. We also use the RUPES Nano, the PXE 80 from Flex, the XFE 15 from Flex, and the XFE 7 from Flex, which is a corded, and then the XFE 15. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 machines that I think I would have in my arsenal. I use these 5 most often. The 6th machine that I would recommend would be the LHR 15 pneumatic if you have a really stout air compressor. So again, I wanted to show you these pretty boxes and how we ship this stuff out, but this is what the XFE 15 comes in as a kit. Comes with the charger, a couple of batteries, a backing plate, everything you need. But unfortunately, stock is really, really hard to get. So keep an eye out for when the stuff comes available. Another thing we'll use on the louvers of the hood is the rotary extension for the Nano. These are now available. So you put the 1-inch pad on the extension, doing in rotary only mode, and works extremely well for getting in tight areas. Think about it logically. You don't have the random orbit bouncing off the edge when you want to get in tight in the corners of the louvers on the hood. And then we used a couple of products. One I don't have yet, but we used panel wipe and a ton of CarPro Eraser for inspecting, and we'll use the CarPro Eraser after the polishing to clean up. Of course, the car, after we're done polishing, we'll head down to Billy's shop to get PPF, so he'll be using Eraser and then G-Technic panel wipe, which is a more aggressive prep product for that part of the process. So anyway, we ship this stuff all over the world daily. In fact, everybody's sitting here watching me while I'm shooting this video in our warehouse. But everybody's always asking me, what products are you using? So I'm doing this series a little bit differently and cueing you into what we're going to use in the video and why. You'll see the why as Billy, Gabe, and myself kind of work through the process of polishing up the car, getting it to what I would call OG spec. All right, video 2 is prep work. So we need to get the car up in the air. Mustangs have, without jacking rails, have jack points. And so we have these. These are, I think these are from Quick Jack. These are Ben Pack. It looks like we sliced one of them off here a little bit. But this is a jacking rail or a pinch weld type block. So we're going to get the car in the air. We're going to take the wheels off. We're going to dry off what we can. We'll blow out with the blowgun and get as much of the water out of this as possible because we did the decon. So make sure to go check out the episode 1 decon video. But Billy and Gabe just arrived, so they're here from Tampa. We're going to start getting this thing prepared, start assessing. We'll probably do a test spot. We'll kind of see how far we get in this video, and we'll get to polishing. We very may well get lucky and only have to do a single step on this car, which would be a gosh darn dream come true for me. So anyway, let's get this thing moving. And you just kind of have to eyeball these. This twin bush lift is going to be leaving here shortly in favor of a noose bomb. Thing I'm most excited about is taking care of the wheels. All right, we're in the air. Good. So we finished drying this thing off. So let's start taping it. You need to. It's the beauty of having air on all 4 corners. I want to see if the new the Milwaukee mid-torque will take this off. So this is the mid-torque version. I want to see if this will take the wheels off. Yeah, it does. Not as nicely though as the big one. Nice to have options. And my Milwaukee game is getting strong. Look at that. That's the extended anvil high torque. You see the difference. It'll pull these off real easily. Cup 2s. That's what a 305 looks like in the front. That's insane. Lots of nibs to take off. It's a little different, huh? Look at that, just a little. So if I had to have one of these, this is the one I'd choose. It's really not that bad. It's what, 350 bucks as a tool only. And these are 325s, I believe. Super light. What is that? 315.30. This is interesting here. I mean, if you look at the inside, see how they put this weird crap on there for heat. Carbon Revolution. 20 by 11 plus 32 offset. I might leave that sticker on there. All right, so the guys are blowing out all the jams, and they're gonna work on taping up all the areas that need to be taped. Trim, emblems, rubber. We'll show you here in a little bit, but there's some real nasty sanding marks in the back of the car. We're doing 2 types of tape here. I like 3M Precision. There's also, this is Poly Precision. So this one's flexible, stretchable. We have it in a roughly 3/4 inch size and 2 inch size, and then roughly 1 inch size and 2 inch size. This is not flexible. I find less residue, a little easier to work with. This is a little more pliable, a little more durable. You know, take one or the other. They're both pretty good. I prefer this because this will leave a little less, you know, grab a little less, you know, residue and things when you're polishing next to it, but you know, both are good. This is actually a little less expensive, the purple stuff. So taping, use common sense. Tape things that you don't think you should be polishing on. I'm most concerned generally about headlights. Once you blow through the UV coat, there's no going back. So I want to avoid touching my headlights with a polisher if I can help it for as long as humanly possible. Because once you do have to start polishing on them, you'll always have to polish them. Really what you need to do is you'll need to remove the clear coat and try to put something else on to serve as a new clear coat. It just never works as well again, no matter what anybody tells you. So taping's just like claying I was talking about in the when I was auto scrubbing the car. It used to take me hours and hours and hours to do that step back in the day before I knew what I was actually doing. Taping, same thing. I used to spend all kinds of time being very precise. But the idea here is just to kind of save yourself from having to try to clean out the trim later. Notice the roll of tape sits here on the car just fine. When we're done with this, it'll slide right off. So what's the plan, Billy, on the XPEL? What are we doing? XPEL, what do they call it now? Ultimate?
Yeah. Yep. XPEL Ultimate.
XPEL Ultimate PPF. And are you gonna put Ultra on that?
Since we're doing the whole car, probably just do Halo again. Yeah.
Got it.
We have the option of going either way on XPEL film, but since it's the whole car, we might as well do Halo.
Yeah, so we're gonna PPF the entire car. I just like to tape the whole headlight. It's just easier. See, that's the thing I don't love about these is that all this in here is all. They got aluminum front control arms, but all the other stuff, all the other stuff is steel. Big, heavy cast iron. Oh shoot! He's going to be a lot happier now. Shipping blocks.
Oh, geez.
You've been driving with shipping blocks in there.
I wonder how much more it's going to lower now.
Look. Don't leave that in your car, gentlemen. I told him to stop driving when he decided to do this. So these they put in the car, they're called shipping blocks, and so that the suspension doesn't compress too much. Keeps the car from bouncing around when it's down to a truck. So always make sure that, make sure the dealer, and he told the dealer not to touch it. So in fairness to the dealer, they said, fine, we're not touching it. But usually they'll take the shipping blocks out.
Yeah, it's going to ride a whole lot better.
Dang, that sucker's jammed in there. I don't know how I'm going to get that out. I just feel like my own car, like I'm getting it all set up. Might as well just keep it. Got it. Say what about that ring?
I think it's supposed to stay because it doesn't have a opening.
Yeah, this chunked out his bump stop. Yeah. That's not supposed to do that. Take the wing off. So I'm going to remove this. It should sit here. Let's see. So what we'll do is we'll take the wing off the car, polish the underside of it off the car, probably polish the upper side of it on, but when we put it back on. Yep, wings coming off, nice and light.
Probably gonna spend more time taping it than we do polishing it.
Gosh, I would love that so much.
I mean, it looked pretty clean. I don't know if we'll find some sanding marks or something when we get into it, but quickly looking at it looked pretty darn good. So.
Okay, here we go. Ready for polishing. So we got it taped off. Only took like an hour or so. Blew out as much as we could. We got the wheels off, so I got the wheels set up over there to work on those. So now we need to perform a test spot. So while Billy's doing that and kind of getting set up here, I'm going to work on, I'll tell you kind of what all the different tools we're going to be using for this. But I think let's get the car down so we can get it in frame. So what do you think? Do you think the black is going to require something different from the gray, or it should be the same clear, right?
Yeah, but it'll show different.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I know there's some pretty nasty defects on the back trunk, so I'm assuming there's probably going to be some
spot
elsewhere, yeah.
Spot issue. So there's not any real heavy wash and dude marring because the car hasn't really been, it's brand new. But we do have some, factory lovings,
some sanding marks. I'm guessing it's from, they probably painted the car silver, and then when they painted the stripes, they kind of sanded, I guess, because it looks like you have like these little moons of sanding marks on the silver next to the stripes.
All right, let me get some towels here. But we're probably going to end up being able to do this car with foam. We're going to find out if we need to do anything heftier. All right, so let's see what happens. So what are you going to do? Talk me through it here.
I'm just going to go with, we're going to try out the new RUPES yellow.
Okay.
Haven't tried that yet. So we'll see how that cuts.
RUPES yellow XFE 15.
Yeah, I want to give that a shot again.
Machine. I did my whole M3 with it. So.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had to when I called you and I got all the nasty coating stuff. I had to break out the RUPES. It doesn't have enough torque to lean in as much.
That's what I was a little bit afraid of in our environment. Like, I like it, but I don't know if it's enough. So go ahead and prime it.
So on this flex, we don't need you don't need the center hole, because these pads are designed for the RUPES machine, but they still work really well. So your methodology here is maybe just take something with a little more cut than just a finishing polish, and we might be able to get away with foam, skip the microfiber.
I'm thinking because it's pretty darn good, but just from what I saw on the trunk, I'm thinking, like, even here, if you look right there, you see all the sanding marks. So we're probably just hit near the stripes. We're probably going to hit with microfiber because it has a lot of the sanding marks in it. But like down the side of it, I couldn't see anything. But something might pop out at us as we're going through it. With the lighting more direct on each spot, and then we'll bust out microfiber for those spots, and then come back with the foam. But I want to see how this the clear plays on the stripe. On the black. Kind of short cycle it a little bit so we can see if we need to go further or not. Save us time. So you don't want to just keep
you don't want to make more
passes
passes if you don't need to.
I think it even took out the sanding in the silver. I'm going to come over here and try it one more time. It looks pretty decent though, in the black even.
So what we're doing here is we're leveraging Billy's expertise of trying many things on different cars over time, but we would call this a test spot. So we're trying. So he's skipping 3 or 4 steps just based on experience, and then so we're going right into a sort of a hybrid here, and we're using a finishing pad, a hybrid, like a medium pad, a medium to soft pad, and then putting a compound, but not a real aggressive compound, on that pad to see what happens, to see if this can solve our problem.
Yeah, so let's see if it'll get this. Cutting it down a little bit, but not all the way. So I think that'll be good for the car as a whole.
And then just spot treat with like a 3-inch.
Yeah, we'll have to go with the 3 and just hit down the side of the stripes, probably all the way. Pretty simple unless we find some other stuff. I know the trunk is going to need some work, but yeah, we'll get going then.
All right, do it. I'm going to start working on the wheels. We got a good little system going here. I go do the easy stuff and let them do the hard stuff. So you're doing what, like 3-ish passes?
Yeah, 3 to 4.
So I'm gonna go, since this is silver, a little bit more yellow light. Yeah, that looks pretty. So the polishing process is one of those things that takes a lot of time and expertise. It's really nice. I tend to defer when I have somebody who has more experience than I do. I tend to defer to them. I certainly feel adequate that and know that I could do this on my own. But knowing that we have all these little parts and pieces, like removing the wheels and cleaning the wheel wells and tweaking things and cleaning up trim and door jams and stuff like that, trunk jams, doing all this stuff is a big job for one person. And so involving friends, including other people, to assess this paint and to fix the car and to get it set up just makes more sense to me. And so Billy's process here of performing a test spot, noticing that the metal or the stripes, the painted on stripes have some different issues from the rest of the car, being able to identify via the test spot that the vast majority of the silver painted areas can be dealt with much more simply than dealing with the areas that had clearly been sanded from the factory around the black painted stripes. These are all things that come with time and expertise, and so the paint correction process, although not as necessary because this car is going to get a complete PPF, certainly brings out clarity and is the right way to do it. And so we're going to be using RUPES, a yellow pad, a foam pad on 90% of the car, breaking out and getting you saw us use the microfiber cutting pad or on the stripes with that same compound, and then we'll finish off the entire car with the same yellow pad and a finishing polish and Sonax Perfect Finish.
So on the stripes here, there's a lot of leftover sanding marks. Kind of like on Match GT3, but these are quite a bit worse. So I actually took the RUPES yellow was a medium wool, and hit it first with that. I got majority of it out, and then now I'm just hitting it with the yellow foam. Both of them with the Jescar correcting compound. So I'm gonna see how that looks now. Yeah, it's pretty close. A little bit of ticking left, but that's kind of to be expected with a compound. So we'll probably have to do 3-4 steps just on the stripes to get those styled in all the way.
So
it's a huge improvement in clarity though.
So these stripes have likely been painted on after the paint.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I
mean, typically that's how they do it.
See all your microfiber.
Yeah, come look up here with this.
Yeah, it looks a whole lot better. And then when you finish it, yep, I'm glad you're doing this.
Let's see how this little guy works. Try Rotary. Mostly what I'm trying to do is get into these little grooves right here in these corners. They're a little bit tough to get into without knocking the adjacent panels. The Rotary seemed to work pretty well on that. Let's try something new here. It's way better. So what we're left with on the black stripes is a lot of pigtail sanding marks. So we did the yellow wool from RUPES with the Jescar correcting compound. That removed all the sanding marks, but it leaves its own little bit of marring behind. So then we follow that up with a new RUPES yellow for our middle step with Jescar correcting compound still, just to remove the marring that the wool pad leaves behind. And then we're going to follow that up now with the Sonax Perfect Finish on the old style yellow RUPES pad.
So you're doing a second step to remove the marring.
Yeah, from the wool.
And you found that the Perfect Finish wasn't quite enough.
Well, this, yeah, no, because even this, it barely gets it out, and then this will still leave a little bit behind because it's still too aggressive, or it's really soft.
Mm-hmm. And the black.
And then the Perfect Finish is the final step on the older style RUPES yellow.
All right, let's get the wing out here. Let's see what the bottom of it looks like. It's probably the worst area of the whole car.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not going to be looking at it. Well, they thought you weren't going to be.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking.
I'm going to try to hit it with foam first to see.
I'll hold it down.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. People on Instagram were talking about Ford paint. I don't think Ford paint's all that bad. It's pretty easy to correct. Shines up real nicely.
I think just cars in general are getting softer.
Yeah.
And people are equating that to crappy, you know? All these water-based paints. So they chip easier, they scratch easier than they used to. So if you just getting into the newer cars, and some of these cars are really soft. But as far as being thin, I mean, all of them are thin, I guess, but the amount of polishing we're doing is very minimal.
Did you go out and put some correction or griots in my Jescar bottle? Is that one, or is that your just towel smells like it?
No, could be my towel.
Yeah, let me see. I think you're bait and switching here.
Dang it, it got us.
Okay. Yeah, it must be your towel. I thought he went out and switched out the product on us.
I like these new pads.
I do too.
They got a nice, with the flare out like that, it's a nice buffer. You can just.
Yeah, and they're more stable too. They got some stability to them.
They seem to spin a little better, too.
Yeah. I think they blow out better, too.
Yeah, they do. I noticed that. They don't hold on as much.
All right.
Finish polished. Was the
There we go.
no, was it in the front one or the back one?
Front one. It was in the
Okay.
yeah, front.
You don't want to give them all the downforce?
No. We're basically done.
It's the best part of the day.
Tape removal, yeah.
Yep.
Turning it into a ball and throwing it in the trash. That's my favorite part of the day.
All right, Billy, you're on your own. I gotta go.
All right, man.
So, I guess I'll just send it to you. I'll finish it up tomorrow.
Okay.
There's nothing for you guys to come back and do.
You just got to do the wheels, right? And
Yeah.
That's it.
All I gotta do is EXO and put them back on. All right, that's a wrap. This car actually polished out much, much simpler than the last several cars we've done here. So yeah, next video will be us dealing with the wheels. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.